In the ever-shifting landscape of nutrition science, where studies often yield conflicting results and headlines swing wildly between praise and condemnation of the same foods, a more disciplined and transparent approach is desperately needed. This is where the burden of proof approach offers a compelling solution, a novel framework for interpreting nutrition data that prioritizes study quality, consistency, and strength of evidence over the sheer number of studies or the noise of media attention. At its core, this method introduces a more cautious, statistically grounded way to assess diet-disease relationships, one that may produce more conservative conclusions, but ones that are also more trustworthy. Traditional meta-analyses often suffer from a more is better mentality. Researchers pool dozens or even hundreds of studies, regardless of differences in design, sample quality, or potential bias, and then calculate an average risk estimate. But the results of such pooled analyses can be distorted by low-quality studies, publication bias, or unmeasured confounders, especially in nutrition, where observational data dominates and randomized controlled trials are rare. Worse, weak but statistically significant associations are often interpreted as proof of causation, which feeds public confusion and undermines trust. The burden of proof approach, developed in part by researchers at the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation (IHME), flips the default assumption. It starts by assuming there is no harmful or beneficial effect and places the burden on the evidence to prove otherwise, just as in scientific and legal reasoning. Crucially, it incorporates a quality weighting system that adjusts for study design, potential bias, and robustness. Higher quality studies carry more weight. Less reliable ones are downweighted or excluded entirely. The result is an effect estimate that reflects not just the average finding, but the certainty of that finding. This framework is designed to reduce false confidence in weak data. Rather than highlight every statistically significant association, it aims to identify only those relationships that are strong, consistent, and supported by high-quality evidence. In practice, this often yields more cautious effect sizes. For example, rather than claiming that a food increases or decreases disease risk by 30%, the burden of proof approach might report a smaller, more conservative figure, paired with a clearer statement about confidence levels. This helps separate signal from noise in a field plagued by overinterpretation and cherry-picking. One of the method's key contributions is its ability to provide a burden of proof risk function, a visual and quantitative representation of how risk changes with different levels of consumption, while integrating uncertainty and confidence across the data spectrum. This makes it easier for policymakers, clinicians, and the public to see not just whether a food poses risk, but how strong the evidence is and where the gray areas lie. In a field where binary good versus bad labels dominate public discourse, this nuance is critically important. For example, when applied to red and processed meat, sugary drinks, or whole grains, the burden of proof method doesn't necessarily reverse the conclusions of previous studies, but it clarifies how confident we should be in them. In some cases, it confirms robust risks, such as with processed meats and colorectal cancer. In others, it shows that while an association exists, the strength of the evidence is weaker than widely assumed, suggesting the need for better designed studies before firm recommendations are made. Importantly, this approach also encourages a reprioritization of research investment. Instead of spreading resources across endless observational studies of minor dietary exposures, it points to the areas where evidence is weakest yet most important, such as food additives, ultra-processed food structures, or long-term microbiome impacts. This helps move nutrition science away from rehashing old questions and toward generating more actionable, precise insights. For public health messaging, the burden of proof approach offers a badly needed corrective. It won't eliminate controversy or complexity, but it gives policymakers a framework grounded in caution and clarity, rather than media hype or industry pressure. It acknowledges the uncertainty where it exists and elevates only the most credible findings to the level of public advice. Ultimately, the burden of proof model doesn't aim to oversimplify nutrition science, it aims to make it more honest. In doing so, it may slow down sweeping dietary claims or food panic headlines, but it strengthens the integrity of the field. And in a time when trust in nutrition science is fractured, that may be the most important outcome of all.